Hi,
Hi,
guys.
everybody.
How are
Hello.
you? Today's
Welcome to
episode
the
is going to be
10th
pre
episode.
recorded. Excuse me. 10th
Oh,
episode, but it's going to be
and we're
pre
starting with a
recorded.
cough. Sorry.
I
We got a little. Did you get a little Anya, Carla? A little
have the
Anya?
black lung. A little.
The black lung.
I have the black lung. No.
Yeah.
Welcome to Here Be Dragons, where creativity meets courage and dragons live in the art we create and the lives we lead. I'm Carla Mara of Dragon Lady Art, and with me is my co-pilot and dragon rider extraordinaire,
Alan Childers of Alan Childers Art and Illustration. We're here to talk about the dragons we face, the treasure we're after, and the wondrously weird journey of life. Every episode will explore what it takes to face your dragons and maybe even ride one.
So grab your shields, sharpen your claws, and let's dive in, because today we're asking the question that matters most. What dragons are you facing? Hi, Alan.
Carla, what dragons are we facing this week?
There are so many. So many. Let's pick one.
Yeah, the world is burning. Everything's
The world
fine.
is burning. We're
Everything.
all
The Shire is burning. The Shire is burning.
I'm on fire. Yeah, I was fine up until 2 minutes ago. Oh my goodness.
Just keep drinking the DP.
I know. You leave my barbecue Sprite alone. Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about AI today. I know it's not just you bringing it up. Who would have thought?
You're bringing up AI?
I'm bringing up AI. I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's so I watched a video this week on YouTube from another artist. I will drop it in the show notes because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But he was talking about if AI has won the social media race. So he was discussing how AI has taken over social media and how it's like there's so many bot accounts and you never know who's actually commenting. And even those of us that have established pages, we're not able to share with anybody anymore and nobody's seeing it. And even like my artwork used to be shared all the time in all the top dragon groups. And now I can't compete because there's, 200 people, 400 people in those groups that share AI. And when they upload 100 pictures at a time, right? I just can't keep up with that. I'm a human being. Oh my goodness. Human alert. And there's no way that I can keep up with that. But in that discussion, I had some thoughts and realizations about how we can fight AI that I think are valid. We'll see what you all think. Please comment and let us know. I said this is pre-recorded, but please leave a comment. My main thought was that the phone, right? This is the great equalizer. People are used to seeing crazy ass images on their phone, and they're going to see AI next to your images, and it doesn't matter because it's all in this little box, right? So their experience is the same no matter what, whether they're looking at somebody's art who's like the best of the best in the field of art, or whether they're looking at something that somebody posted that's AI. So their emotional attachment and their experience, especially if they're on social media, right? If you're just scrolling Instagram and you already don't have a thought about AI, or you're not already against it, it doesn't matter if it's art or if it's AI that's coming across your screen, right? And you're viewing it as a little 3-inch by 2.5-inch box, and that's it. And it's not until you get out into real life and into the public and you can see a difference between the two, because AI is not going to show as well as actual paintings and things like that are. So I think
you definitely can read the flatness and the sameness in AI art, especially up close.
Right.
Compositionally weak, and very flat, and just very like you've seen it 100 times before. There's no originality in it. It has started to feed it in upon itself, basically.
Right. Yeah. And I know that this is why a lot of artists have gone back to traditional, and I know we've talked about that on several podcasts too, and having physical originals again. And that's why I've gone back to, originals for sure. And not just originals, but painting on metals and painting using lapidary and things like that. And I was talking to a friend of mine who pointed out that, classically oil painters would paint on board that was covered in gesso, and the gesso had marble dust in it. And so you had this mild iridescent behind the paint already going on. So you have the oils that are already luminous, and then the light strikes that marble dust gesso.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? And it's going to reflect back out. And these are things that experiences that you can only get in real life. I've been seriously considering wiping out all my social medias the last week.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, as far as your art's concerned, or as far as...
Yeah. As far as my art's concerned. I mean, not that I do a whole lot on social media anyway, and I probably would still do it with like Critically Epic or Here Be Dragons for sure, things like that. But the art account itself, I mean, I've really been considering like deleting all of my socials and saying, nope, the only way you can get my work is if you join my email list. Go back to emailing once or twice a week. Maybe emailing videos.
Can I be the devil's advocate?
Yeah, please, absolutely. That's why I wanted to discuss this.
Without socials, how will you direct people to your email list other than your website?
Through shows.
Okay. So
yeah.
So the personal so you're going to build personal interaction built off face-to-face communication and interaction, which will be more meaningful and more memorable to people. And so that will be, I don't hate it, because that, honestly, that's one thing that, like an algorithm can't, control reality really, other than keeping people engaged on their phone. But like when you go to a convention or a show, other than snapping pictures on your phone, you're trying to you're trying to soak it all in, right? So you're there for the experience. We saw that at Norman, Oklahoma, when we went to the medieval fair. And so people were there for the experience and the immersion, and hell, I wasn't there for that, and I still got it. I was running out of the booth. Like, I was like, Carla, they have a troll. There's a guy balancing on a ball, like rolling around juggling, and
he was so nice.
There is a goblin that is just amazing, and there's like this person with an animatronic puppet dragon, like breathing fire, and just the level of creativity and the experience that was from that was just amazing. So yeah, like, fuck yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like, why participate in a system that has chose to see you as a product?
Right.
That has chose not to, or we just have to be more. I mean, we tend to be. We tend to be. Once we have a social media following, we tend to, and we see these huge numbers of followers that we have. We tend to not want to let it go, because getting those followers back would be like really hard to do, right? So if we aren't transitory with our social media as we should be, and we don't take it, we don't take a chance on social media that has better algorithms that aren't designed to be predatory, even though like those would get us better engagement. So like Substack is still probably just not that popular of a site. However, Substack has given me some of the best engagement for my content in a long time, as far as that's concerned. Now, I am not really pushing a newsletter as strongly as I should be there, and I'm not pushing a sales angle as strongly as I should be there, as I could be there, just because I really haven't had too much. Like we're still developing things. I don't really have an online store that much for some of my own work. I could probably update it now with some things and like especially with Critically Epic. Now I have like 2 different stores going on, or with Etsy 3. But so I think there are some social medias that algorithmically are better than others, except people see these large following counts and they just stay in the same rut, and they stay where. But because of the algorithm is so predatory, and because they want you to do a pay to play system,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your big following count is; those people aren't seeing your shit.
Yeah, well, it's a sunk cost fallacy, right? It's the whole, again, my Facebook page is now 15 years old, almost 15 years old. I have huge numbers of followers, and that used to do things like get me licensing contracts. Right. That was a big deal when my agent said, "Oh yeah, she's got the largest Dragon Fantasy artist page on Facebook." Right? It used to mean something. 60% of people that would come into my booth were like, "Oh, I saw you on Facebook and I had to come see you at the show," or my daughter follows you and said that you would be here, and so I came out to see you. Like, and that was common. It used to be 60% of the people that came into my booth would tell me that. And now it's not. I got more people at the Great Plains Renaissance Fair in Wichita a couple of weeks ago telling me that they saw me on social media, and they saw me on Threads. And I post on Insta and push to Threads. I don't even like actively do much on Threads.
Right.
So the fact that they even saw me there was mind-boggling, and it was like, I have not heard that in years, and it just, but again, that whole, every time I see those Facebook numbers, it's hard, right? It's hard to let go, because I mean, when my account was hacked 2 years ago now, and it broke me. I mean, I thought that I had lost all of my followers, and it was days of calling Facebook and being on the phone for hours and demanding to speak to a manager. I Karen'd the fuck out, and I could never get, I mean, I paid, what is it, $20 a month or whatever to get the little stupid star. So you're verified, because if you're verified, you can talk to a live person. So I paid that for like 3 months to try to get to a live person. I emailed and I sent letters to my Congress. I sent letters to my congressman. I sent letters to the people that handle all that, like in California and in New Mexico and everything else. And I could not get somebody to talk to me to get my page back. And I thought I was like hosed. I thought my business was over, and I managed to get back into the backside of my page in a glitch. I literally glitched trying to log into the business page off my phone, and got into the correct account and was able to change my passwords and get it back.
Sweet.
And I just got my original page back, my original personal profile back 3 months ago, maybe.
Okay.
It's frozen because I don't ever get on it, but because I have a whole new profile now, right?
Yeah, you have it left on read.
Yeah, we have this, idea that we can't leave these social medias, but when I started in 04, 05, Facebook wasn't a thing. Like, I was on MySpace, and it was back to shows. And I think that, and even if you're a digital artist, you can do this, right? You can create an experience in your booth. You can either set up your booth in a way that showcases the work, or you can get it printed on special papers or stuff like that. And yeah, AI crap artists could do that too, but it's not something that they're really actively thinking about. And you can also like embellish, or what, you paint something digitally, you have it printed on metal, and then you embellish the metal or something like that, right? It's trying to get that shock and awe from the people walking by your booth. And it's trying to get them involved in an experience. And we are seeing an uptick in experiences, right? I mean, that's why we're seeing such a big move back towards Renaissance fairs. You shared the link to me from the UK artists that are creating an artistic experience, right? Yeah. People are hungry for experiences, and they are hungry to get offline. Yeah. And especially Gen Z and younger millennials, they're just looking for more to do, right?
yeah, there's a lot more travel experience type things. Like I'm seeing a
Hmm.
lot of, like, especially if you in the artistic community, lots of in-person workshops going on, lots of mentorship possibilities, lots of just these travel experience things that where people would go to. There's people flying to, for in the TTRPG community, you got people doing like D&D in a castle or D&D in a train or
Oh,
D3 at sea. There's just because I'm into D&D and gaming stuff, but I'm sure that there is adjacent stuff in various different markets.
oh
uh,
yeah. Well, there's tons of like cruises now. Like even 7,000 tons of metal. There's a metal cruise you can go on now, and a lot of the bigger bands have their like book their own cruises that you can go and see a concert every night and be part of the band experience. And
one of the things I'm concerned with is like one of the things I'm concerned with Facebook itself has really cornered the market on um, events. Like it has cornered the market on setting up local events and promotion of that. So where it almost forces you to keep a presence on Facebook for local events. Like I don't even remember how we used to do word of mouth. We used to like put things in the paper.
yeah, paper
Like
radio
we
flyers.
used to have like an event. There are event apps.
Hmm.
We used to utilize those before Facebook. Facebook just make it so easy and generalized to create events that everybody uses it now.
Hmm.
And I think like and it would be great to be able to get away from Facebook for that reason alone. Facebook does really great with events. It does really great, I think, for uh, certain things. Groups is a robust part of Facebook, and connectivity wise, better than their pages. Uh,
Right.
as
I
far
agree.
as far as building a community or a local community, you can't really do better than groups in regards to that, other than having a Discord, because Discord's really good for that too. But like, I don't think people would go like in droves to Discord to look for events, whereas people like even journalists are probably trolling Facebook under regionally for events to look and see what's going on in their area. um,
Mm.
you know and I think Google used to be more of a contender when we had Google, what was it, circles, or
Oh my
there
god.
was there was
Yeah.
there was an attempt by Google to make a
Yahoo
and,
groups.
and I mean, I used to utilize Google Hangouts and Google, like, because Blogger, like, the integrated, but it just became,
Now we're getting old school
you know,
blogger.
Facebook pulled away. Facebook
Yeah.
pulled away, and Google were just like, we're just gonna focus on what we are doing good and cut the social media aspect of it because they're gonna crush us on that front. So we're just not gonna play that game, which
Yeah.
is smart business, but it left no competitors for Facebook. So like, I feel like I couldn't even walk away from Facebook even if I wanted to. Now
Right.
I think it's great to take regular breaks from Facebook. Um, we haven't really been able to do that since we started the podcast, or some things like that. However, we can push out to other social media platforms and stuff like that. But if you're wanting to, man, that's one of the things that's like, I would fully support just like decimating all social media and doing a complete reset of that. If it wasn't like the fear of that, like being able to operate as an artist like outside of the internet. Like,
Right.
and I think that's the FOMO part of it, really sets in like what's going on. I don't know what's happening. but I think there are a lot of old school artists still out there who don't really use social media that much, can
Mm-hmm.
still find the news and information that they need, and stuff, and still engage, whether they choose a platform like YouTube or some other thing that they, and still. So I think it's a great idea as far as in regards to maybe like just pulling back from posting your artwork, like.
Yeah. Well, I was really just thinking about like not deleting, but I know I can go in and like shut my pages down
Hmm.
and making it more of that exclusive club. And I don't want to exclude anybody, but unless you're going to see me at a show, I mean, again, they're not seeing my work anyway, right? There's like, even as far as like this podcast, I went through and I invited most of my friends to the Here Be Dragons Facebook page, and a lot of them came over. Um, but I don't think a lot of those people are getting the notifications about our lives or anything like that either.
Right.
So, and that's fine. That's an algorithm thing, or that's a, oh shoot, I forgot, whatever the reasoning. It's not,
Yeah,
I'm not calling people out.
we've got about a dedicated 10 people that show up, or
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which is awesome, right? That's
yeah.
great. But they're watching it and they're keeping an eye on it. And even local friends here have told me, they've been keeping an eye on it, or they're on the list that's supposed to alert them to tell them that we're live, and they still don't know, right? It's all a Facebook algorithm thing.
Mhm.
It's not a them thing, it's not an us thing. And I know a lot of shows are running into that too, right? Like how do you get in front of people?
Yeah.
And I know most of the shows I do are very well established shows, right? I don't do first year shows. I usually don't do shows within the first 3 years unless I know the person running them or friends have vouched for them or whatever. Cause I've been burned on first year shows before. And I don't think I sent you the article. An article just came out today about a scammer who did a show and had like 200 vendors and promised 100,000 attendees, and they maybe saw 1,000 people all weekend.
Oh shit.
And the vendor, like the booth fee was like $300.
Oh wow. For a
Which if
weekend
you,
or
yeah,
for.
for the weekend, right? And if you do these shows, if you do outdoor shows, you do especially the fine art shows, that's not that bad.
Mhm.
But they were pushing it and they were trying to do all this stuff, and then they just didn't bother to advertise or get people out. And then they berated the vendors for the vendors not inviting people or telling people to come and things like that. And I'm starting to see this more and more, these scam shows, right? And you've run into that too on when you're running your shows, right? You make an event page, and then all of a sudden you have a scammer who's contacting vendors on your event
Oh yeah.
page
Yeah.
going, hey, I'm from this so-and-so's event, I need to collect your booth fee or whatever.
Yeah.
So
As soon as I create the Goblin Market event,
mhm.
there was, I had to. Yeah, there was there, because it's a public group, and
Right.
it's a public event, right? It's because I'm
Yeah.
trying to invite as many people as possible to this event. So because it's public and not private, they can come on there. All they have to do is Google a zip code for events, and
Mm-hmm.
they can just go on and troll all of them that they want to.
Right.
How I did that was how I tried to get around it was I made a post on the group itself. I pinned
Yeah.
it, and then I pinned it inside the event comments. So just like, so if somebody was like, see pinned post.
Right.
If you want the correct information, go to the link in the group and see the
Yeah.
pinned post. So I will say that, and I was like, there will be no, and I make sure to clearly state. But even if you clearly state it, there's some people that don't necessarily see that comment right away.
Right.
Facebook hides things and only sometimes shows things for relevance, and prioritize relevance and like engagement. So if somebody's spamming, that's engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spamming is engagement until someone tells the algorithm otherwise by
Right.
reporting it. It thinks that's engagement. So, yeah, I
And even
mean,
then, it may not be against Facebook's TOS, and
Right. So
I mean, I used to do a monthly giveaway too that was huge on my Facebook page. And we're talking 600, 800, 1,000 entries every month.
so
And
what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
oh, and then the amount of spam that I was having to fight because it would, people were entering on the post, and all of a sudden a spammer's coming through and saying, "Oh, you won. Here's where you pay for shipping." And people were having their credit cards stolen off my page, and I don't have anything to do with that, right? Like, I spent Easter a couple years ago, I got a ding on my phone saying, "Hey, there's a spammer on your page," and they had already captured a dozen, 15 credit cards from people telling them that they won. And then I was getting DMs going, "Where's my prize? Where's my plushie?" And I'm like, "I do not have 15 plushies to give out. Like, I'm sorry you got scammed. That's not on." And they had made like 6 or 8 different copies of my page. And they had built a website based on my website with my images off of Facebook on there saying, "You won, here's where you put," and it was just a credit card capture
Oh,
page.
wow. So
It
they
was
they
creepy as
cloned all
hell.
your shit. They cloned
Yeah,
all your
it was
shit.
creepy. And so I had to spend all day Easter messaging people going, this is a scam, cancel your card, because I did not do this. And it was like 200 or 300 people that I had to message.
Damn.
Yeah, it would, and that's why I was like, well, that's my last giveaway, right? Like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, one of the things you talked about and you said about that that event not doing like the work to get enough people there or something, they didn't have as many people show up. We're seeing that a lot because we're seeing like a lot of the larger shows become more decentralized because a lot of smaller shows have been popping up.
Yeah, for sure.
That are still asking for like the same amount of money as the larger shows, but they're popping up. So you're having smaller events pop up all over the country. A lot of these bigger shows are becoming decentralized because like there's too many events and people can't go to all of them, right?
Yeah.
So they're having to choose, and they'll choose based off if their favorite artist, if their favorite guest is going to be somewhere, and that's how they kind of choose. Or they choose by proximity. They'll choose by proximity to their region. So if something is like 40 minutes away, and it's going to satisfy that itch of dressing up, buying some art, having a good time, possibly getting a nice meal, but still getting to nerd out and be with family or friends, then you're going to go to the one 40 minutes away and just check and take a chance on checking it out because it might be cheaper to get into.
Right.
Versus a show like the larger shows could be upwards of $60 just to get in the door. Plus then all the vendors are trying to make their costs back up, their booth costs back up by raising their prices at least 25%.
Well, because everything's going up. Gas has gone up. Hotel rooms have gone up. My cost of paper's doubled. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So their booth costs are going up. So they're raising the prices of their art. At least the art that significant art that they're trying to sell, or significant products that they're trying to sell. And the only thing that the people that just paid $60 can really afford that to get into the door and paid at least $60 to drive a couple hours away, the only thing they can really afford is a few bookmarks and some some smaller prints. So that's what they're buying.
Yeah.
So if you I know some artists shy away from that, but that's what the convention market space looks like right now. That's what we saw at Norman. That's exactly what we saw at Norman. Like you even mentioned, the surprise lack of $100 bills that came through your drawer.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't see $100 bill till what, Sunday?
No.
Late Saturday?
Because they broke it, put it in a gas.
Right. Yeah. Well, and another post on Facebook came up from another artist friend, and there were several people that saw the same trend, that the middle buyers, there's still people buying less expensive items or smaller items. There's still people buying originals. It's that middle crowd that's dropping out. And I've noticed the same thing of, I do the buy 3, get 1 free. So you get 4 prints for $60. and we didn't sell hardly any of that deal.
Yeah, we got.
Not at Norman.
I remember 2 or 3 specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. And they used to eat that up, right? That was my biggest moneymaker. And it's interesting because you usually have like a big stand-up seller, right? It changes based on shows, whether it's sometimes desk mats will fly off and sometimes prints will fly off and sometimes, so on and so forth. And this Norman especially was even across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I sold the same amount of zipper pouches as I did prints, as I did desk mats, as I did mugs, right? Like it was a pretty even, as I did bookmarks, right? And that's always surprising to me when it's that even. Now, part of that is I didn't have much new work, not for Norman. I've been focusing a lot on the wildlife stuff, and I didn't have prints of any of that yet. And my last dragon I painted almost a year and a half ago.
Wow. I mean, it's still a moneymaker for you, though. I mean, the dragons are still.
Definitely.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, because we talk about art markets a lot here too. So conventions and Renfest and things like that, those are only one aspect of one art market, right? So when you're talking about your wildlife stuff, you're talking about basically getting in your art spaceship and flying to the next galaxy over, like going over and trying to establish yourself in a.
Oh, here he comes.
Sorry.
It's probably me.
No, it was me. I dropped.
Okay.
I dropped.
The internet's been garbage for a week. Well, since the fires 2 years ago, yeah. Anyway.
But it takes, like I was saying, sorry. But like I was saying, it takes time to get yourself established in that new universe, right? Mm-hmm. Like it could take you 6 months to a year to get established.
Planning 2 to 3 years
in a fine art market. So you got to either like have like some type of a backup plan, which I think Critically Epic is kind of our stabilizing another leg to stand on, right?
Yes.
Having multiple legs to stand on and be in multiple art markets might be how we have to survive.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe just like, you're only one person, but you made an outhouse mimic and for Critically Epic, and you're painting some wonderful gold leaf, lion behind you, cosmic gold leaf lion that's behind you. So we have the ability as artists to transition and adapt and overcome. And I think that is kind of our advantage in our over AI is our adaptability.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Our adaptability will win us out over AI, and we can strategize and win those things. And it may not be with the internet, or maybe we will establish a new footing with the internet, or we will migrate to algorithms that are more beneficial to us.
Yeah. Well, and people have tried, and
blogs and websites.
Right, exactly. I miss WebRing so much, but it's like you were talking about with shows too. If you conventions specifically 15 years ago, there used to be a handful of really big conventions like Denver Comic-Con, Phoenix Comic-Con. Those used to be travel shows, right? People would save up all year and go to that one show because it was so big. And there's still people that do that. But as you said, a lot of these little teeny tiny cities now have their own Comic-Con. And so why am I going to spend $500 and save all year to go to Denver Comic-Con when I can go to my local Comic-Con and I can see a lot of the same vendors or get a lot of the same stuff? And when cons started picking up, the nerd memorabilia in general was hard to get. right? You had to get it from a convention. And I know like the bookstore that I worked in it's still active, it's still around, it's still doing very well. But it was active when Hastings closed. And she immediately picked up the slack and started carrying a lot of the nerd stuff that Hastings would carry. So now we're carrying games and nerd socks and Loungefly bags and stuff like that. So she picked up the slack. So why are you going to save up money and go to a con when you can go to your local bookstore and get the nerd stuff there, right? And this is all markets, right? This always shifts and change. And I think as artists, we do have a leg up on that as far as what we're making and how we can shift and change and how we can make just the act of being in front of an original piece of work is an experience for people. And I think we need to lean into that, and we need to lean into the person to person part of it, right? Whether that's, you know, I spent yesterday setting up my gallery again. I'm in a tea shop. I pulled everything out for the last 2 shows and I just rehung everything. And I brought 3 times the amount of originals in that I had before. And now that I'm here, I can start pushing that I have a gallery. I'm set up. I'm in Rito, so you can come buy my stuff. And I will probably start picking up smaller shows again. I just don't think I have a choice, right? If I had 5 Normans, I wouldn't have to do anything else, but I don't. Right. So at least until, as you were saying, the fine art shows are established, I'll need to keep doing multiple different types of shows. And that is, you know, Ren fairs, and it's hard because like my numbers, what I need to make in order to break even and what I think is a good show is going to be way different from what you think is a good show. Right. And I did get caught in that last year when a bunch of vendors said that there was another show around Oklahoma that was great. And they did the same amount of money that they do at Norman, but it's so taboo to talk numbers. Right. So, you know, the same that they do at Norman was probably a quarter of what I do at Norman. But because they said those words, I was like, yeah, I'll sign up for that show. And it ended up being a bust show for me. And it was interesting because it's great for a local show. It's great if you're in the area or if you're not staying in a hotel or you're not paying for a lot of gas. It's awesome. But for me, who drove 9 hours, and we actually took the pop-up trailer, so we didn't have a hotel. Thank goodness. That was the only thing that saved our bacon.
Did you bring your entire setup?
Oh yeah, I had the double booth. I had the whole thing because they said that they did as well as Norman, so I wanted to show off. And it did not. I did a fifth of what I do at Norman, right? And so it's, you know, we don't.
So you did our day one. You did that entire show. You did our day one.
Yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rough, right? And it was interesting because I walked around and there were. So I consider myself an upper mid-tier vendor, because I've been doing it for so long. Because the numbers that I have to hit and I like to hit and I regularly hit.
That's what she said.
Damn Skippy. And to walk around and see probably about half a dozen other mid-tier vendors, and we're all like doing the WTF face with our arms in the air going, everybody said this is a great show. Why is it not a great show? And, you know, we walked around to each other's booths going, I know you do this show and I know you do well. How are you doing here? And it's like, not well at all. And they're like, yeah, everybody around us were smaller tier vendors that didn't have to travel that far. And it's all things that you have to take into consideration when you're looking up shows, when you're, you know, and so there's a fine art magazine called Sunshine Artist, and it's been around for like 40 years. And that's what it is it's a fine artist show magazine. It's a magazine that features all of the fine art shows in the country. There's articles about how to do your booth, or, you know, how to various things that are all show related. And I really like that one because it interviews artists, and it actually puts, like, on the open of the article, it'll put what the artist sells, their general regional area, and what they do, what their general cost of item are, and then how much they make at that show. And it's a range, right? They made under 1,000, they made 1,000 to 5,000. It's awesome. So you can look at this and somebody can go, oh my God, I had the best show I ever did. Well, the best show they ever did might be $1,200, which for me is not a great show.
Like $1,200 would be a home run for me with what I bring to a show and what I order. Not
And
now.
oftentimes
I
I
have
consider that a
I have
bust.
invested quite a bit on my setup here recently to establish myself more in Ren fairs.
I'm really proud of you.
So like $1,200 on this show would have me a little just over breaking even.
Hmm.
So I've probably invested that much, and I haven't even bought stock yet. So
Yeah.
so I've probably invested about I'd say five. No, probably not 1,200. I probably invested about $600
Hmm.
uh, in stuff to like a really good pop up with walls. I got a really good commercial pop up with walls. I got a huge signage. Like I've got like a signage that goes over my table. That it's real nice, and just some things that are going to present myself more professionally and be more
Hmm.
eye catching. And then I really worked and established on what pieces that I wanted to bring to this show. So I'm targeting the show and doing more to establish like the look and feel
For
of
sure.
how I go to conventions, how I present my work, and how it's received. So
And I think that's part of the experience, right? I know my setup is good. I would like to take it to the next level. So even when I got back from Norman, I turned around and bought another $150 in fabrics and things like that to really start making the exterior of my tent stand out just as
mhm.
much as the inside. And I know like with the vendor next to us and all weekend we had people coming in saying that my artwork pulled them in from, 30 feet away or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty
Walking
cool.
up to my booth is
The
impressive.
wild the
Um,
wildlife images did it too.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited to do more with like
Yeah,
micas and sparkly stuff, and I
yeah.
need to figure out. Yeah, anyway,
And that's just
I'm,
the
I'm
originals. If you get larger format prints, oh fuck, they're gonna be
like big metal prints and stuff. I
yeah,
know
larger
I'm
format foil
really
prints or
excited
metal
about doing
prints.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Uproar Art is a printing company and they license my art and they take it to conventions. And they're printing it on metal prints and stuff like that, the dragons.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and they're surprised, quote unquote, surprised at how well the watercolor dragons do it in like anime conventions and stuff. So if you ever see Uproar Art at a show, you're gonna see my art.
Okay.
Which by the time you see this, I will be at. And I'm planning on sitting down and talking to them about the best way to print some of the stuff, to really, really push like the metallic look and to
Yeah. I
make
know.
even the prints an experience, right? I think that's where my focus is shifting, is making everything as much of an experience as possible. And I did have to scale back from Norman a little bit because I got everything in the Kia Soul and not the truck. Um,
Well, and I think people can get a little bit like one of the legs a lot of artists stand on for that isn't related to the art but is related to it. Artists really stand on monetizing their social media, monetizing their streaming as a way of
for
providing
sure.
an alternate income stream, and that
Right.
alternate income stream is really like you have to become a different kind of professional to do that. We're learning that with this podcast. Like we are building the ship while we're doing it to try to become more established, more professional at what we do, and it is a learning curve. But they're doing reels and they're doing reels and things that as a consumer, I like seeing that content. I like seeing other artists work and stuff like that. That's not me purchasing their work though. That's me helping them, like putting a like on an artist's thing is just one avenue of engagement that eventually will lead to them getting some type of monetization, but not as much as purchasing their work. Purchasing their artwork comes with a real tangible benefit. to for them and for you, because you have a piece of artwork, but we're also coming into like up against online marketing and things, pushing like wall space and things like that. So I think your audio's off. So we have to think about ways to find different avenues of products. Like if wall space is like our 2D wall space for art is not going to be obtainable because everybody's wall is filled up with art, then we need to put our artwork on books and go onto your bookshelf. And when your bookshelves is filled up with art and things, then we need to get we need to try to maximize being put on your refrigerator or some kind of now I'm Carla.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but now I'm
There
we're
we go.
switched back. There we go.
Okay,
We are who we
sorry.
are.
Apparently it dropped my new shiny mic, so
like
I have
I
no
said,
clue what's happening.
There are different. A person only has so much room, right, in their house.
Yeah.
So much wall space, so much room. So I was like, once you run out of wall space, we have to think about products to put on a book, to go on a bookshelf. But you run into the same problem. You only have so much bookshelf space.
Yeah.
I run into that problem in my house all the time. We have a bookshelf problem here.
My house too.
You can also, we have magnets. We can put our artwork on magnets. So we have the ability to transition our artwork into products that can be useful, be engaging. You can wear our products, so it's like a walking advertisement. And those are different ways to sell your artwork, because sometimes like a person runs out of wall space and they would love to support you and buy your artwork, but I have plenty of artist work that I have purchased. I haven't even got it framed yet. Like I have it. It's like I have the print. I have a huge portfolio. My portfolio that I used to keep in college for my artwork has just become a portfolio for other people's work. So I've got their work and my work kind of like, but it protects it so it doesn't bend it and stuff. So it's in there, and that's where it lives, because I haven't gotten around to getting it framed, putting it on the thing, so a lot of people buy your work just because they want to support you as an artist, or they're buying your story. So if your artwork has a story that like it's taken how many years to craft your dragons the way that you want them to look, to build the skills up that you want it to look like. What I noticed at Norman is that your dragons have a mythology and a story that you're pulling from, that that you're equating that, or especially if you have flower dragons, then there's a connection between the dragon that you chose and the flower, or the butterfly dragon, or things, when you're combining different elements to create a story. And that's a story that you can talk to those customers about. So when the story can be a selling point in itself for customers. I've been rambling for a while, so I'm going to let Carla talk. I was just talking about strategies and ways that we as artists can adapt to our art, to different products and mediums that are going to appeal to people, even if it's not a piece of art, like a piece of art that we would normally sell.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think that's why Patreon became so popular there for a while too, is that people could kick you $5 and support you, or $3 or $1 or whatever, and support you without needing to run into the space problem, right? And I've got some theories and some ideas on how to solve the space problem on my end, but it goes back to the whole, you know, once art became affordable, right? When I started in this, it was still, we were still doing lithograph printing, and a print run, you would invest in a print run, you would get 250 prints, and it would be a $6,000 drop. And God forbid you picked the wrong image that didn't do well in the public, and you didn't know what images would do well because it was before social media. So you just kind of had to guess. And I don't know about you, but all the pieces that I've painted that I've really liked have bombed. Like badly. Like, I love this piece. It's great. I leveled up, and then nobody will fucking buy it.
Right? It's always that obscure piece that you did 10 years ago that they loved.
Right?
And you're just
The
like,
one that
I guess that one's okay if you really like that, but I'm doing
literally
this
the one that I painted and stuck in a drawer and hated and waited 6
Yeah, and
months to
then you
make
finally
prints
were
out
just
of,
like,
and now it's
I'll
my
make a print of
best-selling fucking piece. Yeah, exactly.
that.
That one. And now I have to look at it every time, but that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. But when art became more affordable with digital printing, now everybody could afford a $20 print or a $15 print. And then you throw in conventions in the mix, and now you're going to a place that has 200 artists that all have prints for sale for, you know, $10 or $20. And yeah, people are literally out of space, and they're building their own books or things like that, you know, and like, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's so easy for us to get products made. Like, now that there's print on demand and drop shipping, I'm so excited because I can order mugs, and I can order 5 or 10 mugs with 5 or 10 different images on them and get them in. And yeah, I'm paying a little more than if I order 500 of the same image, but I can have these products in my booth. But the flip side to that is that AI scammers and not bad artists, but bad actors can now do the same thing, right? I mean, the stuff, the personalization stuff that's gotten so popular in the last couple of years, I'm going to put my dog on socks. I'm going to, you know, here's a birth chart for when your children were born, because we can just look it up on the computer and print it out on a poster, right? Yeah, absolutely. And now, you know, 3D printing and the candy dehydrating stuff got really popular there for a while. And you know,
the
all
use
these
of AI and 3D printing, or AI
absolutely
and creating anything really.
Yeah. Now that being said, I am starting to see a drift back towards shows and in-person buying, because people have bought stuff through Facebook ads, got it in, and realized it was garbage, and it didn't look anything like the AI picture promised it would. Well, it's a Chinese seller, and now you can't get a hold of them again. You're never going to see that money. You've been scammed on a product that's just junk that you're going to throw away. Right. And, you know, the same thing kind of with the 3D printing stuff, right? You want to get your kid a souvenir from the Renaissance Fair. Hey, look, there's this $3, you know, 3D printed dragon that they're selling for $5 a pop, and it's going to keep your kid. I mean, I really can't say anything. I have my little 3D printed egg here that's a fidget.
Oh man, I love that thing.
They gave it to me at the show, and I'm like, this makes my ADHD so happy. Like,
I know, right? Like, that's like, I love those things too. But when you have 12 vendors selling the same thing at a show,
yeah,
I mean,
it makes it hard.
It makes it hard.
Yeah.
But,
and I think that's why I think, like, creating an experience for your customers, whether it's through the originals you're painting or through the look of your booth or through, you know, the experience of, like, we really should sit down and discuss, like, how we're going to do the Critically Epic booth here soon.
Right.
Because we're going to have to start investing in booth setup stuff. And I would really like to have them some kind of an experience where they come into the booth and it looks like a giant castle or some garbage like that, right? Like, you know, something interesting that's going to pull people in.
Well, I mean, you've been working on that, you know, Christmas, you know, that, I mean, having a build, like, that's one thing I saw at Planet Comic-Con. The Lego people having, like, these elaborate builds that they have, you know, they have their group or nonprofit Lego group, but they have these elaborate builds, and they're, like, showing that off. So those are draws for people when you have, like, some type of, you know, established thing. You know, you might not be selling it, but it's a draw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna
giant
fuck,
Hulks and models and stuff.
well, and I mean, fuck these guys, but Tower of T-shirts that's at every large con you've ever been to, and they've got their display that's fucking 30 feet in the air, right? You can see them
Yeah, if that
no
thing ever
matter
fell, man, we
where
don't
in
know.
the con you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's giant grid wall. Oh my gosh. But they've,
Yeah.
I mean, they get like 8 booths, right? And I think we touched on it last Monday a little bit about, placement in the convention makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And when I finally made the jump at Denver Comic Con to a vendor space as opposed to an artist alley table, I got hosed because I was wedged right in the middle of like 2 people that did massive fan art. Like one guy did these big 3D cutouts that were like video game scenes that he had print out and cut on paper, and then so it was all like 3D looking and it looked like a video game scene, and then the people next to me had these gigantic displays with big lights. So you got to my booth and I was like this little hole cave in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and if your show doesn't have a really great policy on AI or doesn't even really check that hard, then you have AI vendors could be setting up right next to you.
Right.
I mean, and I think we've heard horror stories about people setting up and their work is being sold across the way.
Yeah.
Like their own work is being used against them across the way and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I talked to you about a little bit yesterday, and I'm still working the theory, is gamifying the shopping experience.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
You see this with other shopping kind of things, where people, the Small Business Bureau kind of does this sometimes, where they give you a passport that like you go around to specific to different businesses. You go around to different businesses in the small community, and you might be able to like get if you have if you've shopped around and you've got so many things, you might be able to submit it for a giveaway or for a 10% discount onto something if you've basically tried to purchase from every artist or vendor or something like that. And I thought that would be a great way to promote or if like some type of, and I hate to say this, human artist alliance,
right?
Where collaboration, where you have almost like a little zine or a giveaway, a passport zine, where if somebody, and then like stickers, like they'll have certain, like the
or
human
a stamp
sticker, or stamp, like artists will have their own stamp and what and stuff. So like when you go and you get like that filled up and somebody comes to you and be like, well, I got my passport all filled up, and they have their receipts and they have their purchases, and then be like, I've purchased from these artists who are on this specific list, and stuff like that. I've got my passport filled up, and then you're like, bet, that's a 25% discount on your purchase. Yeah,
right.
Purchases above a certain point,
right.
So like, or
free stickers or
free stickers or something that rewards people for choosing human artists.
Right.
So and it kind of like gamifies the shopping experience a little bit. And I think something like that could work short term, or even just as like a fun little kind of thing. I'm even going to do if you make a purchase, if you purchase over $20 in my booth, you'll get a chance to roll the for free. You can if you purchase $20 at the booth, you'll be able to roll the dice, and
right.
If you crit on the D20, then you get to pull a prize. So
yeah,
and if you're a kid, you're probably going to get a prize anyway. if you're a small kid, you're probably going to get a prize anyway.
Right? Sucker.
I am.
And I'm part of me is bothered that we have to jump through this many hoops. Right? But I feel the same way about social media too. Like I don't want to be a videographer and a social media editor and like a writer, and like it's terrible. And I part of me feels really, really bad about what I'm about to say, but I don't want to fucking entertain you. Like my art
Right.
should be enough, right? Like I'm
Right?
doing
Shouldn't
this,
it
like
be?
this is, you would think, and it's not. And like I said, I know that I like that's a personal issue, and I feel bad saying that.
Well,
Because people do want to be entertained, and our work should be entertaining, but
as
it's just
artists, we tend to think that we all have to do it the same. Like we have to do what the other artist is doing to be considered professional. And
yeah.
I don't think like you like oh I have to sell my own Procreate brushes and I have to do all this and I have to do that just to become professional. And it's like the only thing that you need to be a professional is have a good work ethic and be able to take money for your work and and not and I think and be on time and say where you're going to be. Like
Yeah.
there's so there's that's professionalism to me. So even a hobbyist can have a level of professionalism, and I think
Oh, of course. Yeah.
a couple of them on the show here where they they present themselves as professionals when they need to, but for the most part they're doing it because they enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
it's a spectrum, right? It's a complete spectrum.
right. So
You can throw in for a few shows just to make some money to get your next Xbox game, or you can pay your bills off this. I mean, it's getting a little more difficult to do that right now, but we are working on it, right?
Right. And sometimes we have to take a step back and like go do jobs that we don't necessarily appreciate as much as sitting in our happy places making art. And that's okay too. And sometimes those experiences can lead to new avenues of creation, right? Like they can sometimes feed our imaginations because we can't draw from an empty cup.
Right. Of course. And you shouldn't, I mean, yeah, there's only so much, like we don't work in a vacuum, right? Or we haven't since the 90s anyway. And even, you still got to get out of the house and still do shows and still do, I mean, at my height, I was doing 23, 24 shows a year. I mean, I got anxiety and collapsed and went to the ER several times in a couple of years because of that. And I was working full time at the same time too. But that is part of the life, right? That's part of, and it doesn't have to be like, that was what I chose to do because I wanted to do as many shows as possible. Mm-hmm. And I was doing Renaissance fairs and conventions, both anime, comic book, furry, I was doing all the things and outdoor shows and, and now in my mid 40s, I'm healthy enough to do those shows, but definitely not 23 of them a year. Right. I'm shooting for 12 is kind of my goal between conventions, Renaissance fairs, and fine art shows. I think I can hit that and not keel over dead.
Yeah, we'll
find out.
I've increased the amount of shows that I've done this year quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, when you start at 2, I mean, just doing 4 is doubling your numbers. So,
right.
Which is cool. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And as you said, like there's different avenues of doing this, right? You can go down to your local tea shop and see if there's a place you can hang there, or your local coffee shop, or you can local galleries. I think you're in a co-op gallery.
Yeah.
And you've got to put in X amount of hours a month.
It's great being in those places and establishing those what do they call them? Third spaces.
Third spaces, yeah.
Third spaces, like because those are our actual reality. Like we get so caught up in our virtual existence, I think, and our existential selves that sometimes we forget that our third spaces are just as important. And if we don't utilize them, if we don't go to our tea shops, if we don't go to our galleries, if we don't go to these places that need us to be there, then they dry up. Then they don't. Nobody goes there anymore, and then they close their doors because they can't support themselves.
Well, interesting tidbit of information from a show that I did recently. The artist next to me, or their helper, I think it was somebody who worked for a crisis hotline. And one of the things she said that one of one of the best deterrents for suicide and suicidal ideologies was third spaces.
Awesome.
Was having these places where you go and you even if you're not going with friends or you're just going by yourself and you're taking a sketchbook and drawing or you're reading or something like that, you're still connecting with other people, right? Because as you said, we get so caught up in our virtual lives and our virtual worlds that we forget that, there is a place outside of the internet.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Right?
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I've always wanted to do since they closed the Hastings down here in our area. Hastings used to be a place where you could go and
it was a mall. I mean, it was the same as a mall.
It was books, it was movies, it was music, it was comics, it was magazines, it was coffee. Everything that you could ever need to fulfill your some creative aspirations could be purchased there. And in some cases, maybe in some areas, literacy went down after it. Oh, I'm back. Sorry. Oh, hello. Sorry. Illiteracy went down after it left.
Can't hear you, Alan.
No. I have to drop then. Hold on.
Boy, this episode is riddled with all kinds of technical difficulties. Let's see. Oh, he's asking to join again.
How about now?
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
There we go. Stupid internets. I mean, I guess we're both having internet problems.
Right?
Yeah. It could be the heat. I don't know. I got the fan going though, but I don't know. Where was I?
Third Spaces, Hastings, something you wanted to do when Hastings closed.
Oh yeah, I wanted to create a gaming store like a gaming hobby shop that had comics and TTRPGs and stuff in my area, but the feasibility of that financially is just not there in this region. So, but I kind of still want to do it just because it would be a great third space to have, just to have a place where people could come in and play games and nerd out and paint minis and do crafty shit and I kind of still want to do it. Like it's still like a dream kind of thing to create like a brick and mortar kind of nerdy TTRPG and hobby store. But
you'd almost have to do like the hobby store is the secondary part, right? You'd have to open like a coffee shop,
right,
that happens to have and that's, I mean, you see a lot of gaming dens that do that. They open up as a restaurant and then where they serve like bar food, right? It's not even anything major. It's like fries and wings or what the hell ever.
Waffle sandwiches and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And but then they have like the game store attached to it and some private spaces. Like I've been into several of those. Gaming dens, seedy little places. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you do have the stores, the gaming stores that have like the bad reputation. They don't try to sell to you. They don't try to sell to you at all, and they're only there for one specific thing, Magic the Gathering. Or they try to upsell you too hard, like you're at a convention every time you walk in.
Right.
So you really need to find.
Or they have an aversion for girls.
Yes, I've had that happen to friends of mine too. There's
God forbid,
you really have to find
that. No.
You really have to establish yourself as a place where everyone feels welcome and accepted to be there, and have a professional like the game store we went to. I think it's Wizards Asylum in
something like that. Yeah, in Norman.
That place was packed and it was off the chain, and there was like tournament going on plus shopping going on. Like it was packed in there, and it was really great. That's the kind of store I would love to open here in Southeast Kansas, because I think it would just be I think it would benefit a lot of people to have someplace to go.
Yeah, for sure.
And really get them to be able to socialize. We have a lot of great restaurants and stuff like that that do allow for gaming events and stuff like that. But, sometimes it's you can't play like for 4 hours or 6 hours,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
You
But-
can't rent the place for a Warhammer 12-hour session.
But
Excuse me.
sometimes you can want something for a place and not have to invest in it, and it could just live as this perfect dream in your imagination, and you can just like dream about it, like, and walk into it when you go to sleep at night, and then you wake up and you go like, I'm so glad I didn't lose money on this venture that would have put me in debt and never made any money in this region, and you can be like, I saved a lot of money. So you still got to find the silver lining.
And yet you're doing shows.
Yeah. So now
it's a whole other gamble.
Now I can afford to make art because I didn't waste my money. You know?
Right. Well, and it morphs, which is kind of like the whole purpose of this conversation was shifting and adjusting and morphing. Like the tea shop that I'm in, they've been open for almost 2 years now, and they're catching on as a third space, right? So people are starting to come in and like teach classes. So
Yeah.
she has a base price that's like $50. It's really cheap. You can come in and teach the class. And then her only requirement is everybody here buys tea. And then like a cup of tea, is like $3.25, right? It's so like it's not a big commitment. But then she does baked goods, or she does tea parties and stuff like that. So we have more and more people that are like, a woman just came in last weekend that she wants to do anxiety workshops. And she wants to do like once a month. And I took a crochet class a couple of months ago, and I want to start doing drawing on the right side of the brain, or sketch groups. And my creative group meets here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can co-op that name. I don't mind.
Oh, thanks.
Riadoso Sketch Jams. There you go.
Right. Brought to you by Alan Childers.
No. Brought to you by
Here Be Dragons. Exactly. Yeah, and our creative group, and she's joined the creative group, so we actually meet after hours. The tea shop closes at 4:30. My creative group meets 5 to 7, right? And it's starting to catch on as that kind of a third space as opposed to just a tea shop. So it's that pivoting, right? It's that, and like every day for the last 2 weeks, we've had a college group come in that are here studying the effects of forest fires from California.
Oh, sweet.
Because we're like the hotbed for forest fires right now. Go Ruidoso. Yay. We're number one. I'm going to die.
Well, also how communities recover from forest fires and how
Yeah,
environment bounces back from forest fires, I think is important.
Are you in the class?
I mean, I would think that would be an important study as well.
Yeah, for sure. But they've been, and there's like 6 or 8 of them, and they come in and they each buy a tea, and then they each buy little cookies or treats or whatever. And so, and they've discovered that they can meet here quietly. There's a separate room that's like a meeting room, so they can go in there and not be disturbed. And that's open for everybody, right? Anybody can come in. I think we have a church Dominoes group now that's starting to come in once a month. And so it's that kind of thing.
You could do D&D in there.
She wants to run a D&D game. She's working on planning it out. So yeah, she hassled me about like building terrain.
D&D in a tea shop. That would be dope.
Right? So yeah, and we've talked about like selling secondhand crafts along with that. And my art's on all the walls, right? Yeah. Like I just rehung, and I've got like 15 originals hanging up.
You could get some honeycomb shelves, put together some honeycomb shelves. Hell, I bet Ben could 3D print you some honeycomb.
I know, right? Exactly.
You just put the wood grain on it and you paint it to look like a wood, or you just order the wood grain ones and get just like some honeycomb shelves that have like a big like octagon shelf in there, and then you just have like little people put little soaps and craft stuff.
Right? Yeah. Well, I don't want any competition, so no one else can sell stuff. But it's but that's where my
no other artists. Carla has
exactly. I have a monopoly. I also help a lot, so like. She ran.
We don't need Jan, putting, that
Southwestern arts.
Jan that is retired, that is paying, sunsets for her retirement to outsell Carla.
Right? Exactly. None of that. But I also help out. So like she had a tea party. We had over 20 people in here, and I served and I made sandwiches.
Sorry, Jan,
and
you can do what you want.
but I was in charge of making sandwiches and serving, and so I'm not just here like painting all day. I help with the tea shop. I help her with hanging stuff. I'm taller than she is, so I can reach like the hummingbird feeders to change the hummingbird. There's a lot of little stuff that I do.
So you're an unpaid employee.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a room where I can paint, all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's quid pro quo. You're offering
yeah.
a little bit of your service. It's
Yeah.
a trade. It's a trade service. You get the you're paying her to be there, but you get the
a little bit. It's cheap. It's dirt cheap. I'm not paying much.
She also gets your labor out of it, a little bit of your labor.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what?
I love her. She's amazing.
I think I think being at that place has been revolutionary for establishing your new style of art. So I think having a place that you feel that you can create in is important. Like,
for sure.
Having a place that you can thrive in and grow as an artist, and know that when you have outgrown other places, right? When you outgrown other spaces and you need to expand yourself into new places, I think that's important to know as an artist too.
Yeah. Well, and it's a part-time podcast room because I just put up like baffling. Woo! I got that in 2 walls now. 2 walls have baffling, so it's
got a sweet mic.
I do. I got a new mic, although it's not currently working because it disconnected when I had my last disconnect. But hopefully the sound is still not terrible. It's been good, and again, it's not pivoting too. Like, we all need to pivot as much as possible right now, and
adapt.
Yeah, and again, as much as I don't want to be entertaining, and as much as I would love nothing more than the artwork to speak for itself, that's just not how it works anymore, right? It's no longer the days of just going to 20 shows a year and selling art.
Well, I think this is entertaining in a different way, right? We're talking about art, we're cutting up, we're spilling the tea. You have a wealth of knowledge as being a professional artist that has been in the industry for over 20 years, over 20 years.
Yeah.
So you have a wealth of knowledge. You've seen the good, bad, downside up, and everything between. Catch that reference?
Uh-huh. I have fucked and been fucked.
So you've seen everything, and that. So like I think your information that you have to give people is entertaining, but also has a validity. And you definitely have helped me grow as an artist. You continue to help support me, and you won't even let me pay you for it. So we're, like, I consider myself as like, you're my mentor as a professional artist. So, and I hope that I give you the respect that you deserve as a mentor. Are you going to cry?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying hard not to make like a crude or rude or hurtful joke.
No, because I don't think I ever would have had the courage to grow as much as I have without your help, like without your encouragement. And we have other friends in another art group who also provide encouragement, who have been, when you get the wink and the nut, and then the nod, as John likes to say, the wink and the nod,
right?
That you got the skills, you just have to invest in it.
Yeah, so, absolutely. I think you would have gotten there eventually.
No, I wouldn't have. I really wouldn't, because I'm a lazy by nature. So it would have taken me. It's taken me 46 years to get as far as I have, Carla. So
anybody can say that. I mean, and I had all this establishment and everything, and I'm almost starting from square one. Yeah. I did everything the right way, and still got hosed, and still, am still targeting the wrong audience, or the audience that I was targeting is no longer there and no longer available. I mean, that came up in the thread that I mentioned earlier of the middle class seems to be the one that doesn't have money, which is understandable, right? I mean, gas is up to almost $5 a gallon, $5 a gallon where you're at. Like
it's hard.
People that were barely paycheck to paycheck or right at paycheck to paycheck are the ones that don't have extra money right now. And that's the people that I have been targeting for the last 20 years of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now I'm like, well, I guess I can either go down and target a smaller, less expensive items. And you know how much I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Alan keeps trying to talk me into like carrying more magnets and
no.
and I'm like, no, I don't want to.
I think you're doing it in a roundabout way with Critically Epic anyway, so you don't have to do that with your artwork.
God damn it, I'm out. I'm out. Not Critically Epic anymore. Since you said that, like, you know what? I will sell you the .com if you want to buy it, but
I think you figured out with Critically Epic that is an avenue that you can separate or partition and be able to be okay with that. Like, you're not okay with it for your art that you invest over 10 hours in, but you're okay with it for an art piece that you invest 4 to 6 hours in.
Thank you for doing the mental gymnastics for me.
I get
it. You're right.
I don't know if that's how you're justifying it or not. Because like
maybe
with your painted dragons, like some of those pieces you've put in over what? Like
80 hours, 40 to 80
hour
hours
pieces. Like, yeah. Like,
I mean, the lion's going to be about a 60-hour piece.
It's a hard pill to swallow to try to sell that for peanuts, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But something that was made for it. You know,
yeah, that's true.
You know, something that was made for a sticker or made for a postcard or made for, you know, that kitschy item. That's a little bit easier pill to swallow.
You're right. And I started Critically Epic. I thought it was only a year ago. It was 2 years ago. I went back and looked, and I definitely came at it from a different point of view too. That was a product brand. That's always what that was a product
still is.
brand.
It's a product brand, but it's a lifestyle brand too, like a fantasy
lifestyle apparel product. But it was products. And designing products around things that I do have fun doing. And I do need that like palette cleanser, right? Like, I'm going to spend $80 on a paint or 80 hours on a painting. Well, by the time you're done with art supplies, yeah, it's about that too. But it, you know, and like the only thing I want to do is curl up on the couch and draw a mimic outhouse.
Right.
Oh, I have to. So a friend of mine, I posted it, and a friend of mine DM'd me, and I hope he's not going to kill me for saying this. But he messaged me and he said, when you push and when you push and when you try and then something licks your thigh, that's a mimic.
That should go on a t-shirt. That needs to be on the sales pitch. If we do a t-shirt with the outhouse on
ask his permission first.
We need to put that lyric on the back. That would be so fucking hilarious. Oh,
I will have to ask him, but yes, I have to.
Request that we be able to use that. That is hilarious.
Which is awesome, because I was really struggling to figure out what to put around it.
Can we show a picture? Can you share that?
Yeah. I can.
Let's show our listeners what we're talking about, because you really just can't. Oh my! It's got the little toilet paper on the end of the tongue and everything.
Yeah, and a little roll. There we go. So yeah, and the cockatrice weather vane on top, because every outhouse needs a weather vane.
The drool is kind of almost that blue that's at the bottom, you know, of the porta-johns. You know, it's
Bob was here, carved into it. Which, fun fact, Bob is the most picked D&D name.
Nice.
I looked it up by it's like by 20% higher than the next one. So that's why I went with Bob was here.
Bob the fighter, Bob the rogue.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's a little toilet paper roll that's come out.
Oh, I love that you chose like a blue that's almost like reminds me of the Porta-John blue.
Yep.
And it's
Oh,
like
that was on
I
purpose.
call that I call that specifically a camp shit or shake.
Ew.
There's certain people, like I joke with the person I work with. That's like, we need to get them a CSS.
Oh, gross. But
Like,
I mean, that's all storytelling, right? That's all storytelling. The Porta-John Blue, the weather vane, the toilet paper, you know, the carved in, and I made it look like it was carved, and then here is like, you know, right?
Yeah, we need stats for this. Like, we need stat block for this thing.
That's all you. That's what you should do. Is we could tally do that.
Oh
Start
man,
adding
that's
stats
gonna
to some of
be
these things.
because this thing has special abilities that are toilet related, totally. Like a swirly.
Right, the swirly, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And like I was struggling to come up with something to say with it because the chest that I did before says, you know, don't be suspicious because you're delicious. And it's like, don't be suspicious because you're delicious, right? There's like a whole little song and everything with it. Mm-hmm. But again, that's all product art, right? Like people aren't going to buy that
needs
as a
to go
fine
on
art
a
print
t-shirt
and put it in their house.
Don't be suspicious because you're delicious. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It could, but that's not quite kosher for a Porta-John.
That's true. Oh,
yeah, there it is. There it is. I was waiting for you to get it.
Yummy.
Uh-huh. Oh. But yeah, I mean that's
just think that there is probably somebody in this universe, in the timeline that we're in, especially this timeline, that is.
I'm worried what you're gonna say.
That is probably eating food in a Porta-John.
Oh, I'm sure. Of course. I'm sure.
Probably sucking on a chocolate shake while something's going out like a chocolate shake.
Stop. I'm not editing this out.
This is explicit. This is an explicit episode.
This is very much yeah. I'm seriously thinking about just making.
Sorry, people. We are 12. I am 12, trapped in a 46-year-old body.
But it's the different, and even Here Be Dragons, right? I mean, this is more geared towards other artists, and we're starting to see. I mean, I had somebody message on a thread or a whatever post that somebody, I had commented on somebody else's post, and another artist jumped on and was like, "Oh, I've been meaning to talk to you about being a guest on your podcast." Right? That's
sweet.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping to do is, and again, we have amateur people on too, and you know, people who are well established in their field, and I think talking and getting those stories from everybody is really helpful because I said Ben talked about how he quit and is kind of dipping the toe back in.
I know a future guest that we're bringing on, Alexander. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna ask Alexander how to pronounce his name.
Yes,
but I know he's been very public with some of his struggles, and he's even talked recently about the mental health aspects of it, of getting help for that.
Right.
And we are destigmatizing that that we do need help, that we are
of course,
that we are that our field is under duress, and we shouldn't treat it as anything less than under duress.
Yes, for sure. Everybody that I've talked to is stressed out, and that actually is a good segue to something else that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
That People's Artist contest.
Oh, you want to talk about that? Okay. How do you feel about that, Carla?
Not great, Alan. I don't feel great about that at all. And it's.
Yeah, I ended up sharing it to SEK Arts Community because I hadn't really investigated it too much. And I hadn't heard very much about it. Just that there were some.
Well, the prize money.
Quite a few artists that were jumping on board with trying to get seen and get noticed and stuff like that.
Well, the winning pot is $25,000. That's life-changing money for a lot of us, right? Yeah. That's get out of debt, buy a car, invest in shows.
Yeah.
That's life-changing.
Have a great weekend in Vegas.
That much. I won't be doing any of that. But that is, I mean, right? So a lot of people that I saw that jumped on it were really upset when their following jumped down their throats, because that's what happened to several artists that were like, I'm the people's artist, go vote for me, don't spend money on votes, don't. And that's what it was, it's pay to play, right? You can, for $25 you get 10 votes or whatever.
Well, and it's collecting people's emails really a lot too, and getting on an email list chain.
It's a scam no matter what side you're coming from.
Yeah. And you know, you have a big name person like Johnny, I won't mention his name, but you know
Johnny.
You know who I'm talking about,
right?
You know, and he is an artist. Like he does painting.
Yeah, of course.
He is a musician.
He's a musician.
He's a musician. He also makes physical art as well. So you get somebody who, you know, is an artist, or at least in some part of their career. You know, and you get, especially that has a big name attached to it, who comes on and says, "Hey, be a part of this thing," you know. And for a lot of people, just having their name, just being a part of the hashtag and a part of the movement,
right,
would be like see an increase in follows, seeing it and be worth it to a lot of tiered artists. Your at your tier and my tier alone, could see some bump in either sales, follows, you know, likes and shares. But like you said, it had a catastrophic backlash.
Yes, putting it nicely, which it should have. And that's not the first scammy art contest that's been around, right? I mean, it's harder to find legit contests than it is to find illegitimate contests, right? There's so many of them that want you to pay for votes or want you to pay a fee to entry, or it makes spec art. Yeah, you know, whoever puts art into this contest, and especially you start bringing in the AI stuff, and then you have, so like the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta puts on a contest every year for the balloon festival, the poster art for the Balloon Fiesta, which is huge. It's international. It's ginormous. It's a show I would like to do, but I need to be able to drop $1,800 on a booth fee before I can do that. And the contest is such a big deal. And 2 years ago, somebody won with AI art.
What?
Yeah, and when they were called out, because the contest didn't have any stance against AI at the time, they really couldn't do much.
Was that lion? That really well done lion piece?
No. No, it was a balloon. It was a balloon, and there was like a roadrunner in it and some other stuff. And if you looked closely, like the lines didn't line up, you know, things like that. And it was almost comical, at least from an artist point of view, where we know the answers to these questions. He had enough BS answers that he sounded kind of legit, but it was like, where are your inspiration from? And, you know, what made you paint this piece? And what were you thinking? And they were all canned answers. They were all
answers that came from ChatGPT is what it was.
Absolutely. And what was frustrating is that was a legitimate contest, right? Like you were paid. It's not a lot of money, but you're paid. Your artwork is on the international poster. Your name is there. You get your design is put on the t-shirts, right? It's, as you said, for somebody who's a lower mid-tier artist who's not as well known, that's huge. That's life. That could be life-changing, right? That's huge. Or even just putting it in your repertoire, right? Putting it in your portfolio.
Here's something that I have noticed, that artists that are in the upper echelons of their field, whose name still carry weight pretty much everywhere.
Right.
Some of them have taken a stance where they are okay with AI. They're okay with AI in certain aspects of creation. And the only thing I can think of is that their name still carries enough weight that they haven't felt the pressure yet.
Yeah.
They haven't felt that they haven't lost work from it yet. they haven't been destroyed from it yet. Nobody's ripped them off, started an entire new store with their name,
Right.
or they are confident that they have the lawyers enough to do that. I'm not going to name names. I've seen it on a few social media posts. There are
Right.
some people that are okay with it, and I would say that devalues your eventually it will devalue your work, and it devalues every mid-tier artist and lower who dream of being in the position you are.
Right.
So like you almost have an obligation at that level, to help steer the industry. Like your name still has weight with these conventions. If you say you're not showing up because you like because they don't have an AI policy yet, we need you to be that person to step in and be like, hey,
Right.
I would really love to do your show, but you don't have an policy against AI. I'm sorry, I can't do that. You
Right.
know, like, do you think you can work on that? And maybe I'll get back to you. You
That pool
know,
of people is awfully small, though. I mean, they exist.
it,
I'm
it,
definitely not saying that they don't,
it
but
is, it is, but I think that if enough, like, and that's the thing where we almost need a union that
yeah.
like the actors union. We almost need something for illustrators or for professional artists where we are unified in our stance of advocating for one another. Because if we don't, like, yes, we are competition, but we also like our
Yeah.
entire this entire market kind of like evaporates if we don't advocate for one
Right.
another. You know what I mean?
Well, and I saw a post today. I think it was on Facebook, and it was a woman whose husband's a
Talking like I'm an
photographer.
expert. I'm not. I can just I am a person that likes to I'm a person that likes systems and pattern, like to look at things from the outside in and see the bigger picture. And sometimes it's easier to see a bigger picture when you're not in it.
Yeah, of course, of course. And there was a post today from a photographer who works with a particular clothing designer, and the clothing, and they, it's a photographer, it's an editor, it's a lighter, or somebody that handles lighting, it's somebody that handles dressing, and it's makeup. So it was like a team of 6 people, and every year they would be hired by this fashion designer to do a fashion shoot for in like 12 hours. They would work their tush off to do it, whatever. That particular person is deciding to take pictures of their designs and upload it into AI and have the AI do their photography for them. So this team of 6-8 people, including a model, including all of the little sub jobs, is lost out on a job now because this photographer can feed it into AI and do it that way. So it's not just us. It's starting to infiltrate everywhere, right? And I know authors have been hit really hard too, and things like that. But it's
voice reading, voice acting.
Oh, absolutely. Voice actors have been hit hard, of course. Yeah. And I think that getting off of social media, maybe not quitting completely, but like making yourself more elite, because again, she can run it through AI and she can put it in some magazines, but that's it, right? She doesn't have the photographs. She doesn't have, and at that point, you can't copyright the AI stuff. So anybody could rip those off and take them and go anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a concern. And as far as like the licensing standpoint, my agent's been getting a lot of pushback from people that are like, we don't want artists who are using AI. And nobody in his stable uses AI. So that's less of a big deal, but we're almost having to prove that we don't use AI because there's so much pushback that the companies that license our work, and these are big companies, these are Ravensburger Puzzles, people like that. And
there's
they're like, we have
people
to
getting accused of using AI who aren't using
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely. Well. Exactly. And there's enough of a pushback, which, bodes well because now these companies are wanting to put our names on product. They're not just licensing the artwork for a product that they're selling. They're wanting to say, this is an official Carla Morrow piece or Bridget Ashwood piece or Rose Conn piece, right? They're wanting to do that. And they're wanting the artists, and a lot of us are more than happy to have that symbiotic relationship.
Well, and I remember and we had several people at Norman ask, "Is this your work?" Like like they
Yeah.
would ask, you know, like yeah, and you had to say that like constantly, all original work, all created by me. So much that was like how our introductory, like that's how I would be like, this is, you know, our introductory sales pitch is like all original work created by the artist, and she's right here. If you have any questions, you know, about her process, you know,
Yeah.
that was how you're, you know, when when you have to like basically, you know, prove your like say that, like it has to be spelled
Well,
out.
you saw how shit hit the fan when those teenagers came in and were like, "Is this AI?"
Puffer fished on them. You were like,
That's my turn. My turn.
shit
Yeah,
looks
I
like
just puffer fished.
like some dude, bro, was like, shit looks like AI, bro. Like
He almost didn't make it out of the booth alive.
Right, right. I was just like, wow, is this AI? And you were like,
right? Had to jump over the table and hold me back.
right. And people, and that's how inundated. That's how much slop they see. That's how much the algorithm is like, just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, well, again, it goes back to it's all equal footing on the phone, right?
Yeah.
You see all of the same thing in all of the same way through a 3-inch by 2.5-inch window. And it doesn't matter how amazing the artwork is, you're not interacting with it and you're not seeing it in person. And I think even Brian W. Parker hit that too, of standing in front of the originals at the museum, right? And I think making our work more accessible, not just like with inexpensive prints and products, but like doing the shows and doing your local tea shops and getting out into the public more, I think is the way we fight this.
I agree.
One of many ways.
I agree, but I think that you have to be flexible enough to know what people can afford, because there are other factors other than just people liking your work.
Like, of course.
Just comparing your work to AI and liking it, because
right.
Like if you're there, chances are you are confident enough in your ability. If you're there, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah, you're back.
If you're there, you're confident enough in your ability to sell your work.
Right.
However, we have to be conscientious about what is happening to the market and how it's being destabilized by outside forces. Gas prices are real. People have to drive to these events.
Yeah.
So knowing that and providing some options that are tiered to something democratically people are able to afford. You know, I hate to say it, but it's like, you know, you have to have a range of
course, yeah. But you can still provide an interesting experience.
Right.
And if somebody comes in and looks at an original and it's a $5,000 original and they know they can't afford it, but you do have it as a bookmark or you do have it as a mini print on a nice paper or something like that, like they are going to turn and buy those things because you've given them that experience already.
Right. So, they've seen the textures.
Whether you have an original in your booth or whether you're a digital artist and you're going with metal prints and you're embellishing the metal prints or anything like that, or you've got the inside of your booth to look like a castle, or, you know, I think leaning into the experience of showing people our humanness and our love of this craft, no matter what medium you're working in or style you're working in. I think that's the important part, right? Yes, I completely agree with the range of products, but you can still provide, like, I've done originals and I've had originals at shows for a long time. And I always knew that you had to have a showpiece. You had to have a big wow piece that brought people in the booth. And that still holds even from 20 years ago when I first started, right? You still have to grab their attention. And attention spans are short now. So you know what? Get out your mica sparkly print paper, plastic, you know, the glitter, because that's what's going to get people's attention.
Get out your glitter.
Get out the glitter, guys. Sparkly shit sells.
Sparkle.
Well,
Hey,
we've gone
you know
almost
what?
2 hours.
I love, yeah, this is almost a 2 hour episode. So we
Yay,
hope
10.
you,
Yay, 10 episodes.
yeah, yay for our 10th episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed our content and enjoyed us here at Here Be Dragons. We like to hear feedback. So definitely, we would love to have some reviews. If there's something you think we need to do better, or if you think we're full of shit, because easily, like you could easily say that I'm full of shit because I talk a lot about art, an art field that I'm not even in, or barely have my toe in. But you get to see, I can see a lot of stuff from. It's like looking out the window in a nice fancy restaurant that you really like, and you can definitely see where people are, like where the waiter has spit in the food,
See how the sausage is made.
Yeah, I'm watching the sausage get made. I'm watching the waiter spit in the food.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're booking for guests. I think we're booking almost into July now. We've got a few guests line up. When I get back from Vegas, my friend Justin Time is going to be with us, and he's going to be fun. He's been a friend of mine since high school. But he's a kind of a latecomer to the art world. He just bought a gallery, so he's a latecomer, but he's in Whole Hog, and that should be a fun conversation. We're really enjoying talking to the wide range of artists and creatives, I think.
We
So
have
even
Alexander Gustafsson coming on.
Yep. And yeah, so we're open for creatives of all type, fine art, it doesn't matter what branch of art you're doing. We would love to talk to you. All skill levels, we've had some more amateur artists on, which has been wonderful. Getting that perspective for sure, and like the jump between professional and hobby and amateur. And
if you have more insight than me, please correct me. Please come on and just be like, actually, Alan, you're full of shit. You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. I promise I won't do that impression.
We do have some after chat usually after so that's when we'll Alan.
That's why we're so chatty with this one.
Right? Yeah, this is usually our after chat. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on Here Be Dragons. Make sure to like, subscribe, find us on the web at herebedragons@artcast.com. We're official. We're on Substack. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, and anywhere else you might listen. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.